Hey, what's going on? Welcome to my last video of this little series of direct mail. I hope the first three videos helped you. And again, thank you a lot if you made it to the fourth. It really sounds like you guys were interested if you made it here. So this last video, guys, is just going to be my outro. It's not going to be any screen recording. It's just going to be it's going to be giving you guys a little bit of what I've learned, what I have done, things I have messed up on, lessons, how I scaled, and how I just made it successful in the past. So, a couple things that I'd like to kind of start with, man, is how I scaled. So, I scaled the direct mail very small. When I first started direct mail a year and a half ago, man, I started mailing, I think it was just 5,000 people, right? I had a small list and a small bid budget, and I was like, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but let's go ahead and try. I started, man, and I can't tell you exactly how much I made those first couple months. I know I made revenue. It was a while ago. I didn't bring up the data, but not important, man. The important part is I started small, right? I started with a small list of 5,000 people. And if you guys remember from my first video, the reason I say 5,000 is because I know on average it takes us around 33, what was it, 3,500 postcards per contract. So if you're sending minimum 5,000, you have a really good chance that there should be a contract in there. Again, there's going to be a lot of factors that play into it, your data, postcards. But for me, I know 3,500 postcards should get me a contract. So if I'm sending five, there should be minimum one. So that's the first thing, guys. I scaled little by little, right? First month was like 5,000. By the second month was also like five, maybe went up to like seven, maybe nine. I just started going up, guys, as I saw success. I saw mail and I saw revenue, and I was like, okay, hey, I have more money. Let's try to mail a little bit more. And then we mailed a little bit more, and we made more money. And then I mailed more, and I made more money. And then it's just a rinse and repeat. You do that over and over and over until you hit something that I call diminishing returns. So a little lesson, what I learned, guys, is all of last year, I think the highest that I scaled up to was it was like 15,000 postcards, 15 or like 17,000. That was at the end of last year, right? That was like at the peak of what I did. And that was making us around $50,000 a month from postcards. So I was spending 10, 15, and we would make 50. And that was pretty consistent, guys. And I had this great idea. If you double your postcards, or revenue should double, right? But kind of playing back into what I already knew was just because I go mail 40,000 people in Oklahoma City doesn't mean that it's going to mean more revenue. So what I decided to do, and this is where my first mistake come, was, well, hey, let me go jump into a whole bunch of different counties so I can get a list of 30,000. So my thought process at the time, guys, was if I knew it was taking me 3,500 postcards per deal, I was like, hey, if I send 30, that means I should make six figures, right? Based off data, I'm very data driven. The data told me I should make X amount if I mail this. So I was like, okay, well, let me go jump into all these different counties, right? So I went into, I think it was Payne County, which was Lawton. I went into Stillwater, which I think was Comanche County. I went to Tulsa, Oklahoma, Canadian, Cleveland. So really, the two big ones that I went into was Lawton and Stillwater. Those were like my unknown territories in Tulsa. I hadn't done Tulsa. I knew Tulsa was good, but I hadn't done Tulsa. So the first challenges I realized was Lawton was no good. And this is where I go back to talking about buy boxes. And the reason Lawton was no good is not that there wasn't a lot of sellers there. There is an abundance of sellers in Lawton. If you know Oklahoma, right? Lawton has an abundance of sellers. Everybody wants to sell. It's just that that market sucks. The average house over there was probably 60, 90,000 fully fixed up. And most people wanted like 40, 50, or even the 70, 80,000 for the home. And it's like, nobody's buying at that price point. So I kind of learned some market knowledge for like Lawton. It was like they don't go by the same rules as Oklahoma City does, right? What was a good deal in Oklahoma City was not a good deal in Lawton by like any means. So that was like thing one was like, okay, our numbers, we have to relearn how to comp over here. Problem two is I didn't have boots on ground. I didn't have buyers. I didn't have title agencies, right? It just added more complexity into our operations trying to go into a new county. And the shitty part was not only was it so much more complex, the spreads were nowhere near as much as they are in like Oklahoma City or like Tulsa County. I think we were making like $3,000 to $7,000 on wholesales over there. And if you guys remember, I told you guys in the beginning, it takes the same amount of effort to make 30,000 as it does to make 3,000. So let's try to focus on making 30, right? So I did that, guys, and my direct mail crushed. Don't get me wrong. We had the highest response rate out of any county in Lawton. We had a lot of people call in. But what started happening is we had a lot of interested people, but we didn't have a lot of contracts signed. And the contract signed that we did get were not turning into closed contracts. So I always like to tell everybody, guys, don't measure yourself off of or signed contracts. Measure yourself off of closed contracts. I can go lock up 20 deals right now. It's not going to mean anything if I can't close them, right? So that's why I see a lot of people on Facebook sit here and show how many contracts they have signed. Well, that's cool. Revenue is not revenue till you make the money. And that's what you start to learn is like, I can lock up 100, but if I'm not selling anything, what good do signed contracts do me? Absolutely nothing. So I did that for a couple months, guys. So I got all these new counties and I scaled up and I was mailing 30 to like 35,000. And I did that for 6 months, guys. I just recently stopped doing that. I don't know, 3-4 months ago. I was like, okay, let's try to mail 30 to 35,000 people. And it didn't play out. I was spending more money on marketing, but I was making the same revenue per month. I did not grow. The opposite, I actually felt like I decreased. I wasn't making the same as I was. I was actually struggling. I was like, what was going on, right? Everything told me that this should have made more money. So I quickly shifted, guys, after like, I don't know, maybe 2-3 months, I realized that that was not the play. And I was like, Lawton's way too hard. Nobody's buying. Let me pull out. Same thing I had like in Stillwater. I didn't have a lot of buyers out there. I didn't have boots on ground. It just made operations that much harder. So I was like, well, let me pull out of these counties that I know don't work and let me go mail more in Oklahoma County and like Tulsa. So keeping the same mindset, I was like, well, let me go just mail more out of these other counties that I do work. Surprise, surprise, guys, I still didn't get more revenue. And that's when I started to realize that there is a diminishing return on how many people you can mail, right? And this is where the thing comes with data, is you can go pull a list of 100,000 people, but if we're honestly speaking, only, I don't know, 20,000, 25,000 out of those 100,000 people will actually be motivated to sell. The rest of them are just names and numbers. Excuse me. Right? There's over 600,000 people in Oklahoma County. It doesn't mean that all 600 people are going to sell. No, there's only a handful of people that are actually motivated to sell. So with that mindset being, as that's why I always tell everybody too, more data doesn't mean more deals. Right, you can go get a list of 200,000 people. It doesn't mean you're going to get more deals because you're just at that point, excuse my language, you're throwing shit against the wall, hoping that it sticks. Because not a motivated list. And I tested several things, guys, because I really wanted to make this work. And I was like, it has to. So it's like, I think out of like 2 months, one time I said, it's like, well, let me try to send 35,000 people to only Oklahoma County. See how that worked. Didn't play out. I then went to, hey, let's go to Tulsa and split them. I still didn't see a very big difference on it. That went on for 6 months, guys. I went and I was like, why is this not working? Until one day I just sat down. I was like, it's not working. And I can't keep wasting money hoping for it to work. I was like, let's go back to what you used to do around 20, let's do 20 to 25,000 and see if our revenue stays. Lo and behold, guys, our revenue stayed, and actually on the complete opposite hand, we started making more money. We started hitting record profit months for us the following months after that. I can't really tell you exactly why. Dataflick did change a lot of their data at the time, so I was always constantly changing different lists, experiment different lists. I don't know if they improved, but we started making more money than we actually were. So not only did we reduce our spend, we increased our revenue by decreasing the mailers amount. So that was thing one, guys. I always tell you, like, don't think a new market means more revenue. It's just more problems, right? Unless you have something really figured out where you can copy and paste from one location to the next, absolutely. do that. If you don't, it's just going to be an operational drag, guys. Trust me. If you don't know the market, that's going to kill you because you don't know what the good areas are. You don't know what people are paying for, and you just don't know anything. You're new. You have to learn. That's going to take time as well, which means you're probably going to lose money the first couple months until you can find something else out. Another little tip that I have with that, guys, is one of the ways that I got myself started fairly quickly in like Tulsa County was leveraging other people. And more specifically, I might get a lot of pushback on this. New Western. I was not a big fan of New Western, guys. New Western has an office here in Oklahoma City, and they had one in Tulsa. I've always had really bad experiences with New Western. But I was at a point in Tulsa that I needed help. I didn't know the area and I didn't have boots on ground. And everybody would say, right, well, you're giving up revenue. Well, absolutely I was, but that was the price that I was willing to pay to learn. It wasn't that I was losing revenue. It was I was actually making revenue, because if I didn't have them and I didn't leverage them for their buyers and their knowledge, I wouldn't know what I'm doing and I wouldn't make any revenue. So I didn't mind losing a little bit of money at first to partner up with New Western. And I got extremely lucky. I had a really great guy up there in Tulsa. Anybody that's watching this video guys want to know, his name is Brendan. He's actually the manager of the New Western office out there. Extremely good guy, man. He's one of my really good friends now. I love working with him. I believe he brings up the reputation of New Western, and I think that's what New Western should be. I think he holds their values to the T. Very transparent, very honest, super easy to work with. So that's what I did, guys. I started leveraging other people to get myself established. Now, of course, after a couple months, we started to learn the market. We started to build our own buyers list, and I don't need them as much anymore, right? We still use them all the time because they're still our boots on ground, and they're happy to go take pictures for us, guys, because they honestly get first dibs, right? If they go take pictures for us, they get first dibs at sending us an offer. I'll be honest, there's been times where we sent them 10 houses and we didn't give them any contracts, but there's been times where I hooked them up with 3 or 4 contracts and we all made money. So it's a mutual beneficial relationship with the two of us. So that's my tip 2. And to kind of further along that tip, if I were to ever do this again and I go into new market, guys, I like to think I'm very dumb and I do what I think makes sense. So my first thing is, there any other big wholesalers in whatever new market I'm going to, right? And if there's a New Western there, probably means it's a good market, right? New Western's a big company. They know what they're doing. So if they're in that market, it's probably because there's money in it. So I will try to find a market that has New Western, because then I can do the same thing that I did in Tulsa. I can utilize them for their market knowledge, and I could utilize them for boots on ground and their buyers. Very, very easy. And I can also utilize them for their title companies, right? I handle a lot of the questions that I have, I can get answered from them. So that's step 1. If you're going into a new market, just try to find the biggest player in there and see how you guys can collaborate together to make money. Makes life super simple. You don't have to do it forever. Do it in the beginning though, so you can get some knowledge and then build up your own buyers list and market knowledge, whatever. Third tip that I have, guys. Don't judge direct mail too quickly. I can't tell you how many times I have sent out mailers, and within the first 2 weeks, I was like, damn, this drop sucked. I didn't get anything. We haven't gotten calls. We haven't gotten this. And I would get down, and fortunately, I would show that onto the team. Like, I don't know what happened. The mailers dropped. But then more often than not, guys, I get the same lesson taught to me to just be patient, right? Because out of nowhere, on week 3, week 4, even up to like week 5, we might get 3 calls, might get 2 calls those weeks. But what I tell my team all the time, guys, is like, if you're still getting direct mail calls 3 weeks after you sent it, even 5 weeks after you sent it, those are the calls you want to take, because that means someone got your mailer and has been sitting on it for weeks, and now they're ready to make the decision. 95% of the time when those calls come in, guys, they're good leads. They're hot. It's not like the first week. I'll be honest, the first week of calls, like I said, 50% of what people were just calling us to cuss us out and tell us to remove us off the mailing list. So just be patient. Don't try to judge a drop within the first couple, like I said, first week or 2. Give it some time, right? Give it 3 to 4 weeks and then go back and see how it performed. Because I can guarantee you, you'll end up getting contracts further down the line, which kind of leads me into my next one. Why I like direct mail. People hold on to these cards, right? We still get people calling us from months ago that we have called. They had it, they reach back out to us. It's easy to stay on top of mind with mailers. Things to kind of avoid right here, guys, is don't go into this blind, right? Have a plan, have a way to track, have a way to measure success. If you're doing this blindly, you're going to get blind results, right? One of the biggest things I used to get from Corey when I was talking to REI Print Mail, he was like, man, you're one of the most analytical people that I probably work with. He's like, people don't track the way you do. And I was like, well, why not, Corey? He's like, that's the only way I know if I'm doing well or not. And it's not just tracking leads, guys. I mean, I track everything in my system, right? From net leads, appointments, you name it, it goes down. Most people do not track, which means they don't know what's working and what's not working. If you don't know what's working and what's not working, how do you expect to scale? You're just throwing money, hoping something works. You're gambling. I'm not a gambling person, right? You tell me to go spend $100 at the casino, I'm hesitant because I don't know. I don't know how to make money. I'm probably going to lose it. You tell me to go spend 10,000 on direct mail. Now I can tell you, I know I'm going to make money. It's just because I've gotten to the point that it's repeatable. Direct mail is very repeatable. Now, the thing with direct mail that's hard is not that it's not consistent. It's just not the same every month, right? Some months are going to be slower. Some months are going to be better. And another big thing that I've learned with direct mail, guys, is direct mail does have huge ups and downs. And what I mean by that is if you mess up and you end up sending a drop that falls in a holiday weekend, you're not going to get good results because the chances of someone taking priority of selling their house versus going to vacation, you come last, right? If there is weather, I've had this happen. We've had severe storms and a drop hit that week. People are not going to call it because people aren't worried about selling their house. They're worried about what's going around them, right? The weather. They don't care about selling their house. They want to make sure the weather goes right. If you're calling during summer break, again, there's a lot of things going at home. You have kids at home. You have school starting. You have this. It's going to affect your response rate. I'm really curious to see how this year is going to happen with the elections, right? I don't know what November is going to bring. I can imagine that November is going to be a wild ride. It's either going to go really good or it's going to go really bad because of the elections. People are not going to want to sell their house. They're going to want to see what's going to happen with the presidents. So let's stop, man. Like, direct mail has so many factors that you can't control, and you don't really know until you get a little bit more seasoned and you start to see these patterns. Well, hey, it was a holiday weekend and it was slow because of this. Hey, we're in summer where summer's out and people aren't going to do this. Holidays are coming up, right? We're in September right now. We have Thanksgiving in December. Direct mail is going to drop, and really just any real estate during those months, it drops because people aren't too worried about selling their house. They're worried about their vacations. They're worried about holidays, right? They're worried about everything else. So you are like usually bottom on the list. I'm not saying you're still going to get deals. You're just probably will slow down a little bit. So know how to pivot and make up for that in other marketing channels. The other thing I want to talk about, guys, is why I love direct mail. Because it's expensive. It's expensive, which means I cut off a lot of my competition, right? Not any Joe Schmo can get off the road and come do what I do. And the other thing with direct mail, it is about being consistency. So you might have budget to send mailers this month, but what if your mailers didn't do well? You're probably not going to mail the next month, right? Or you might mail this month, you get a deal, but you have to wait for that deal to close before you mail again. So now you're mailing a month and a half later, or right 2 months later. Again, consistency. So I know I've been doing this for a year and a half, so I have much more consistency than other people because I've been doing it for a year and a half. So people have been seeing my mailers now multiple times versus they're just starting. So I'm already ahead of them, right? Because I've been doing it for a while. I have the budget to continue doing it. A lot of these new guys will try direct mail, fail, or they'll succeed, but they don't have a budget to do it again next month. You have to wait till this close, and then it's just this harsh cycle if you're just waiting and trying to get things started back up. So yes, I like it because it's expensive. Not a lot of people are doing it, right? You hear everybody doing cold calling and texting because it's cheap. The entry to barrier is very low in those marketing channels. With direct mail, it's high. You have to spend a lot of money to make money. The second reason I really love direct mail, guys, and this was a big one that I learned, is it's inbound leads, right? Just like Google Ads, Facebook, anything else that's inbound. Inbound is always much higher quality. So what I mean by that, 3 years ago when texting was amazing, it was our best marketing channel we had, right? We had a like 14x return on texting. It was great. Made us a lot of money. But the problem with it is that texting used to take us 100 leads per contract. So do you know how many personnel I had to hire to manage those 100 leads? It was a lot. It created operational drag. It wasn't efficiency because now I had 10 people calling all those 100 leads every week trying to get these contracts. It just made more, I'm not going to call it unnecessary work. It's just more work to make the same profit. Versus direct mail, I don't even have to have all those extra 10 people, right? Like I said, direct mail is great because it's either two things. They want to sell or they don't. It's not, you do get follow-ups in direct mail, but like I said, it's either they want to sell or they don't. It's that simple. So yes, it only takes us 14 leads per contract, right? I don't need 100 people to call those leads. I just need 2 closers. Even 1 closer can handle most of those leads. So yes, you can have a much smaller operation and still make a lot of money because you don't need a lot. And it's a lot more efficient because you're not sifting through 1,000 leads. No, you're only getting, like I said, if you get 50 a month, that's not bad. That's very easy to manage. So the likelihood of you losing something goes much lower versus trying to manage 1,000 cold call direct or text leads. I mean, that's it, guys. I'm going through my notes. That is my outro. I can't think of anything else. I hope you guys enjoyed these videos. I tried to make them as detailed as possible so you guys can get some value out of them. I did tell you guys I'm not a coach. I'm not a mentor, right? But I always have people still asking me that they want more. So if that is you and you guys want more and you guys want to sit down and talk to me one-on-one, here's what I'll offer you guys. I am open to doing one-on-one consulting for an hour. If you guys have a question and you guys want to hire me for an hour, more than happy to. You can reach me at Facebook, search up Christopher Perez, or you can go to Instagram and you can find me at Christopher.vetted. That is Christopher.vetted, vetted. I'm always happy to jump on, do 1 hour consulting with you, allow you guys to ask me any questions you guys have. Really, I would say before you guys ever do that, though, make sure you watch my other videos. If they don't answer your questions and you still have something more, please reach out to me and we'd love to get that set up. And I'd be happy to do one-on-one consulting with you for an hour. Other than that, guys, like I said, I don't have a course. I don't have a mentorship. My goal to you is provide as much free content so you guys can get value of it because that's how I started. And one of my mentors that I look up to a lot, that is what they do. And I think it's just amazing, guys. So again, I hope these videos have been of extreme value for you guys. If you guys do like this below, please let me know down below so I can make more content like this and hopefully keep putting out some high quality value for you guys. Other than that, appreciate it. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.